वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 13, Dhritarashtra quits home. Text 37. Sanjaya Uvacha Naham Veda Vyavasthitam Pitrorvah Kulanandana Gandharya Va Mahabaho Mushitosmi Mahatmabhihi.
Sanjaya said, "My dear descendant of the Kuru dynasty, I have no information of the determination of your two uncles and Gandhari. O king, I have been cheated by these great souls."
Text 38. Atha Jagama Bhagavana Naradasthatha Tumburuho Pratyuthaya Bhivadyaha Sanchubhacharya Munim.
While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumburu. Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisance.
Text 39. Yudhishthira Uvacha Naham Veda Gatim Pitror Bhagavan Kwa Gatavitah Ambava Hata Putratra Kwa Gatacha Tapasvini.
Maharaj Yudhishthir said, "O godly personality, I do not know where my two uncles have gone, nor can I find my ascetic aunt, who is grief-stricken by the loss of all her sons."
Text 40. Karnadhara iva pare Bhagavan par darshakah Atha Babha se Bhagvana Narado Muni Sattamaha.
You are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed the godly personality, Devarshi Narada, greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak.
Text 41. Narada Uvacha Makancha Sucho Rajan Yad Ishvara Vasham Jagat Loka Sapala Yasyeme Vahanti Balam Ishituhu Sasamyunati Bhutani Sa Eva Viyunnakti Cha.
Sri Narada said, "O pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them."
Text 42. Yatha gavo nasi protas tantyam badhascha damabhihi vaktantyam namabhir badha vahanti balim ishituhu.
As a cow bound through the nose by a long rope is conditioned, so also human beings are bound by different Vedic injunctions and are conditioned to obey the orders of the Supreme.
Text 43. Yatha kridopaskarnanam samyoga vigamamiha ichhaya kridutoho syatam tatha vicheshacha yanranam.
As a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them.
Text 44. Yanmanyase dhruvam lokam adhruvam vana chopayam sarvatha na hi shochaste snehad anyatra mohajat.
O king, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle, or the material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feelings of separation are due only to illusory affection and nothing more.
Text 45. Tasma jahye anga viklavyam agnana kritamatmanah kathantva anantha kripna varte ramte mam vina.
Therefore, give up your anxiety due to ignorance of the self. You are now thinking of how they or who are helpless, poor creatures will exist without you.
Text 46. कालकर्म गुणाधीनो देहो अयं पंचभौतिकः कथम अन्यांस्तु गोपायेत सर्पग्रस्तो यथा परम.
This gross material body, made of 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others?
Text 47. अहस्तानि सहस्तानाम् अपदानि चतुष्पदाम् फल्गुनी तत्र महतां जीवो जीवस्य जीवनम्.
Those are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the 4-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another.
Text 48. तद इदं भगवान् राजन् एक आत्मानं स्वधृक् अंतरो अंतरो भाति पश्यतां माययोरुधा.
Therefore, O king, you should look to the Supreme Lord only, who is one without a second, and who manifests himself by different energies and is both within and without.
That's 49. सोऽयं मध्य महाराजा भगवान् भूत भावनः कालरूपवतीर्णोऽस्यम् अभावय सुरोद्विषाम्.
That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, in the guise of all devouring time, Kala Rupa, has now descended on earth to eliminate the envious from the world.
Text 50. निष्पादितं देवकृत्यम् अवशेषं प्रतीक्षते तावद्यूयम् अवेक्षध्वं भवेत् यावद् इहेश्वरः.
The Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods, and he is awaiting the rest. You, Pandavas, may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth.
Text 51. धृतराष्ट्रा सह भ्रात्रा गान्धार्य च स्वभार्यया दक्षिणेन हिमवता ऋषीणाम् आश्रमं गतः.
O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, and his wife Gandhari have gone to the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelters of the great sages.
Text 52. श्रोतोभिः सप्तभिर्या वै स्वर्धूनि सप्तधा व्यधात् सप्तानां प्रियते नाना सप्तस्रोत प्रचक्षते.
This place is called Sapta Srota, divided by 7, because there the waters of the sacred Gangas were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis.
Text 53. स्नात्वानुसवनं तस्मिन् भूत्वा चाग्निं यथाविधि अभक्त उपशान्तात्मा स आस्ते विगतैषणः.
On the banks at Saptasrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily in the morning, noon, and evening, but performing the Agni-hotra sacrifice with fire, and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses and frees one completely from thoughts of familial affection.
Text 54. जीतासनो जितश्वसः प्रत्याहृत सदिन्द्रियः हरिभावनया ध्वस्त राजसत्त्वतमोमलः.
One who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process can turn the senses towards the absolute personality of Godhead, and thus become immune to the contaminations of the modes of material nature, namely mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Text 55. विज्ञानात्मनि संयोज्य क्षेत्राग्ने प्रविलाप्यतं ब्रह्मण्ये आत्मानाम् आधारे घातांबरं विवाबरे.
Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being, sorry, with knowledge of his qualitatively oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky.
Text 56. ध्वस्तमाया गुणोदर्को निरुद्ध करणाशयः निवर्तिताखिलाहारा अस्ति स्थाणुरिवाचलः तस्यान्तरायो मा विभुः संन्यस्ताखिल कर्मणः.
He will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to impervious to interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path.
Text 57. Sava adhyatanadrajan paratah panchame hani kalevaram hashyati swam tacha bhasmi bhavishyati.
O king, he will quit his body, most probably on the 5th day from today, and his body will turn to ashes.
Text 58. Dahyamane न अग्निभिर्देहे पत्युपत्नी सहोतजे बहिः स्थिता पतिं साध्वी तम अग्निम अनुवेक्ष्यति.
While outside observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power along with the thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with rapt attention.
Text 59. विदुरस्तु तद् आश्चर्यं निशाम्य कुरुनन्दन रसशोकयुतस्तस्मात् घण्टातीर्थनिषेवकः.
Vidura being affected with delight, Vidura being affected with delight and grief will then leave that place of sacred pilgrimage.
Text 60. इत्य उक्त्वाथारुहत् स्वर्गं नारदः सह तुम्बुरुः युधिष्ठिरो वचस्तस्य हृदि कृत्वा जहाचुचः.
Having spoken thus, the great sage Narada, along with his Veena, ascended into outer space. Yudhishthira kept his instruction in his heart and so was able to get rid of all lamentations. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first canto, 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. Hare Krishna, sorry for my mistake.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Matajis, for your wonderful recitation. That was very nice. Hare Krishna. So today, welcome everyone to today's chat session. We continue reading and discussing chapter number 13 of the first canto, chapter entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. And today we will be discussing text 37, 38, and 39. So I'll share my screen. So before we discuss and recite, let's chant the Mangala Charanam prayers. Please, you can join also. Be unmuted mics. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadutan parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Kalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivashari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astacha Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sanjaya Uvacha Naham Veda Vyavasitam Vitrova Kula Nandana Gandharyava Mahabaho Musitosmi Mahatmabhi. Word for word, Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said, Na, not aham, I, Veda, no. Vyavasitam, determination, Pitro, of your uncles, Va, your Kulu Nandana, or descendant of the Kuru dynasty, Gandharya of Gandhari, Va, O Mahabhaho, O great king, Musitaha, cheated, Asmi, I have been, Atmabi, by those great souls. Translation and purport. Sanjaya said, my dear descendant of the Kuru dynasty, I have no information of the determination of your two uncles and Gandhari. O king, I have been cheated by those two great souls. Just activate the purport. Actually, this is a very, very instructive purport. Very fundamental point in Krishna consciousness. So let's discuss, let's read and discuss. That great souls cheat others may be astonishing to know, but it is a fact that great souls cheat others for a great cause. It is said that Lord Krishna also advised Yudhishthira to tell a lie before Dronacharya, and it was also for a great cause. The Lord wanted it, and therefore it was a great cause. Satisfaction of the Lord is the criteria of one who is bona fide. And the highest perfection of life is to satisfy the Lord by one's occupational duties. That is the verdict of the Gita and Bhagavatam. Dhritarashtra and Vidura, followed by Gandhari, did not disclose their determination to Sanjaya, although he was constantly with Dhritarashtra as his personal assistant. Sanjaya never thought that Dhritarashtra could perform any act without consulting him. But Dhritarashtra's going away from home was so confidential that it could not be disclosed even to Sanjaya. Sanatana Goswami also cheated the keeper of the prison house while going away to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And similarly, Raghunath Das Goswami also cheated his priest and left home for good to satisfy the Lord. To satisfy the Lord, anything is good, for it is in relation with the absolute truth. We also had the same opportunity to cheat the family members and leave home to engage in the service of Srimad Bhagavatam. Such cheating was necessary for a great cause, and there is no loss for any party in such transcendental fraud. What a magnificent purport by Srila Prabhupada. So Sanjaya was feeling cheated. Why was he feeling cheated? Because he was the confidential advisor of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra would do nothing without consulting Sanjaya. And yet, he had left home without consulting Sanjaya. So Sanjaya was feeling very aggrieved by this, thinking, how could he do this? I would not expect him to do this. So he was feeling like this. Now, in the purport, we see a great contradiction being revealed. And what is the great contradiction? The great contradiction is that the Mahatmas, the Mahatma, Bir, or the great souls, they never cheat. What does it mean to cheat? To cheat means to promise one thing and to deliver something else, and to mislead. That is never done by the great souls. But here Prabhupada is full revelation. And Prabhupada is saying, actually, the great souls, the Mahatmas, they do cheat. But their cheating is different from ordinary cheating. How is it different? When an ordinary person cheats, generally, they cheat for some personal gain. But good. And this point, Srila Prabhupada is making very clear. They cheat for our ultimate good, and they cheat for our ultimate benefit, and they cheat for that which pleases Krishna. And Prabhupada establishes a very, very important fact about what constitutes morality. What constitutes morality and what does not constitute morality. And Prabhupada gives some nice examples in the purport. And the first example Prabhupada gives is the example of Yudhishthira. We know the story. Dronacharya, the guru of the Pandavas, he was fighting so valiantly that it would seem that there was no chance of the Pandavas winning as long as Dronacharya was active on the battlefield. So everyone was bewildered, and they turned to Lord Krishna to advise. And then Lord Krishna said, yes, we can overcome Dronacharya. How? We shall attack his weak point. And what is his weak point? His attachment to his son Ashvatthama. So we shall say Ashvatthama is dead. And not anyone should say it, but Yudhishthira should say it. Because Yudhishthira is known as Dharmaraj. When he speaks something, everyone knows it's the truth. He never spoke a lie in his entire life. So Krishna said, Yudhishthira, you need to declare that Ashvatthama is dead. And when Dronacharya hears this, he will lose all strength and he will become completely vulnerable, and we can kill him. Jyoti Mataji, is it possible for you to alter the settings that everyone who enters goes on mute?
Yes, I will keep an eye. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So he said, Yudhishthira, you say Ashvatthama is dead. But Yudhishthira said, no, I can't say that. I've never spoken a lie, and that's a lie. Ashvatthama is not dead. But Krishna wanted him. He said, Yudhishthira, you've got to say Ashvatthama is dead. Yudhishthira said, no, I cannot speak an untruth, a lie. And Krishna said, okay, you say Ashvatthama the elephant is dead. And what we'll do is the elephant Ashvatthama on this field, we'll kill it, and then you won't be speaking any truth. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, I declare it that Ashvatthama, and as he said, the elephant, Krishna blew his conch shell. So all Dronacharya heard was, Ashvatthama is dead. He didn't hear the elephant. It was blocked out by Krishna's conch shell. And then he became so weak. He became vulnerable, and they killed him. So we contrast this with another situation in the Mahabharata. So Karna was a formidable force. He had to be killed, but that was a very difficult task. But it so happened that Karna's chariot got stuck in the mud. And while he was trying to pull him out, Krishna told Arjuna, kill him. Kill him now. Now, according to normal battle rules, that is something unforgivable. It is a heinous act to perform, to kill someone when they're unarmed and they're not ready to fight. But Krishna, when he told Arjuna, you do this, Arjuna said, he didn't hesitate. He didn't ask, say, Krishna, this is not good, Krishna, what you're asking me to do. Immediately, he just did it. He killed Karna. Therefore, it is said sometimes that Arjuna is a greater devotee than Yudhishthira Maharaj. Because for him, there was no consideration of mundane morality. What counted, what constituted the highest morality for Arjuna is what pleased Krishna and what Krishna wanted. And Srila Prabhupada gives further examples. He gives the example of Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami, he was the finance minister for the Nawab Hussain Shah, but he decided to leave service. And when he decided to do that, the Nawab was extremely angry, put him in jail. And Sanatana Goswami spoke to the jailkeeper. He told him, I'm a sadhu. I am simply wanting to follow a life of a sadhu. And I've been imprisoned. Anyone who facilitates a sadhu on his journey, great pious merit comes to that person. So you please free me. And then he said, not only that, I have so many gold coins. You can keep so many gold coins. And this way, Sanatana Goswami, he enticed the jailkeeper both spiritually and materially. And in this way, he cheated the keeper of the prison house to let him free. Then the example is given also of Raghunath Das Goswami. He was the son of Govardhan Majumdar, very, very wealthy landowner. And every time that Raghunath Das Goswami would escape, they would catch him and bring him back home. But he also tricked the priest to facilitate him leaving home just to satisfy Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there are so many examples. I was reading recently something very nice. there was one devotee of Srila Prabhupada, I won't name him, but disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he was very against book distribution. So Prabhupada says, you called him and says, you don't like this book distribution? He said, not I don't like, Prabhupada, I don't like the methods that the devotees are employing to distribute the books. And Prabhupada says, what don't you like? You give me an example. And he said, yeah, so this devotee was distributing a book, and the lady asked him, does this book say anything about the energy crisis? And he said, yes. Yeah, we discuss a lot about the energy crisis. You take this book. And this devotee said, that's cheating. There's nothing in our books about energy crisis. And Prabhupada says, that's your shortcoming. You are just a mundane moralist. You just want to do, you just concerned about morals. That person who takes the book, they are going to be benefited so much. They're going to be benefited so much. All you can see is mundane morality. You don't see the higher cause, that by taking the book, they are accumulating so much of transcendental piety. By taking the book, Krishna is pleased. Every time a soul is given an opportunity, Krishna is pleased. But you're only worried about mundane morality. So the devotee's standard of morality, dharma to shakshat bhagavat pranitam, that the ultimate dharma is that dharma which pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee is not overly swayed or fixated upon mundane morality. The devotee is concerned about what pleases Krishna. Even Krishna himself sometimes cheats. How he cheated, as Vamana Devi cheated Bali Maharaj. But ultimately, what happened to Bali Maharaj? The Lord himself became his gatekeeper. So this is such a beautiful lesson in this purport. We as devotees, sometimes there's a tendency to be more concerned by what we call mundane morality, to the detriment of what pleases Krishna. And we should never fall in that trap. Never fall in the trap. Our ultimate consideration in any situation is, will this please Krishna? Will Krishna be happy? Will Krishna be satisfied? Then that is the ultimate morality. So we go on to text number 38. Ata jagama bhagavan Narada sahatum buruhu pratyutaya bivadyaha sanujo abhya archanam munin. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tambura. Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances. Purport. Devarishi Narada is described herein as Bhagavan, due to his being the most confidential devotee of the Lord. The Lord and his very confidential devotees are treated on the same level by those who are actually engaged in the loving service of the Lord. Such confidential devotees of the Lord are very much dear to the Lord because they travel everywhere to preach the glories of the Lord in different capacities and try their utmost to convert the non-devotees of the Lord into devotees in order to bring them to the platform of sanity. Actually, a living being cannot be a non-devotee of the Lord because of his constitutional position. But when one becomes a non-devotee or non-believer, it is to be understood that the person concerned is not in a sound condition of life. The confidential devotees of the Lord treat such illusion living beings, and therefore they are most pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is dearer to him than one who actually preaches the glories of the Lord to convert the non-believers and non-devotees. Such personalities as Narada must be offered all due respects. The personality of Godhead himself. And Maharaj Yudhishthira, along with his noble brothers, were examples for others in receiving a pure devotee of the Lord like Narada, who had no other business save and except singing the glories of the Lord along with his veena, a musical stringed instrument. Again, such a beautiful purport. Like devotee, in this case, Sri Narada, is being addressed as Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the Supreme Personality of Godhead who possesses all opulences. So some people may challenge, how can we call a devotee Bhagavan? The fact of the matter is that the devotees of the Lord are so dear to the Lord. The Lord can empower the devotees with equal power, with equal opulences as himself. In the early days of ISKCON, once the devotees went to Srila Prabhupada and they asked Srila Prabhupada, how should we see the Guru? How should we worship the Guru? And Prabhupada said, you should worship the Guru as good as God. And for the devotees, the early devotees, that was like a bombshell. Did we hear right? What did Swamiji just say? Every day he's preaching and he's smashing the Mayavadis who think that they're equal to God. And yeah, he's saying we should worship the Guru and the spiritual master on the same level as good as God. They were like so bewildered. They couldn't sleep. So they said they've got to clarify this point with Srila Prabhupada. So the next day they went and they said, Swamiji, did you actually say we should worship you as good as God? Yes, Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said there is God and Krishna. And then there's the servitor Godhead, and that's the spiritual master. The spiritual master is not Krishna, but he is worshipped and is accepted at the same level of Krishna because he is very, very dear to Krishna. Actually, there is one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't have it with me right now, but it says that one should worship the spiritual master as good as God. So Prabhupada is saying, yeah, Yudhishthira Maharaj and his brothers, they are showing the proper example. And Prabhupada quotes the verse from the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Nacha tasman manusyeshu kaschin me priyakrita maha bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi. That there is no servant in this world more dear to me, nor will there ever be one more dear. Krishna is saying, those that explain the supreme secret to the devotees. Prabhupada said the preacher is like the young child. The youngest child is generally completely dependent on the father, and the father pays particular attention to the youngest and youngest child. So Prabhupada says that's the devotee. The devotee, the preacher, is very, very dear to Krishna because the preacher is doing Krishna's work. And as we've read time and time again in the Bhagavatam, Krishna's main work, Krishna's main business in this material world is to bring the conditioned souls back to him. And that preacher who does that work is very, very dear to Krishna. But Krishna considers him on the same level. So text number 39. Yudhishthir uvacha naham veda gatim pitro bhagavan kwa gatav hitaha ambhava ataputra trita kwa gata cha tapasvini. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, O godly personality, I do not know where my two uncles have gone, nor can I find my ascetic aunt, who is grief-stricken by the loss of all her sons. Purport. Maharaj Yudhishthir, as a good soul and devotee of the Lord, was always conscious of the great loss of his aunt and her sufferings as an ascetic. An ascetic is never disturbed by all kinds of sufferings, and that makes him strong and determined on the path of spiritual progress. Queen Gandhari is a typical example of an ascetic because of her marvelous character in many trying situations. She was an ideal woman as mother, wife, and ascetic. And in the history of the world, such character in a woman is rarely found. So one of the beautiful aspects of Srimad Bhagavatam is that in the Bhagavatam, we can find ideal role models. Everyone is looking for a role model by whom one can mold one's life. And that's very, very important. The living role models are extremely important in Vedic culture, because what maybe just seemed as theoretical truths in the Shastras, when we see those truths lived in a role model, that is an additional inspiration, that is an additional, as I said, vigyan, we understand. So in terms of women in the Shastra and role models in the Shastra, Srila Prabhupada is saying that Gandhari, she was such an example. And Prabhupada, he classifies Gandhari as an ascetic. An ascetic is someone who lives a life of austerity. And Prabhupada says here, when one lives such a life of austerity and not being disturbed by the austerities, that makes him very strong and determined on the path of spiritual progress. Patru tapodevyam putrakena. That's what King Rishabdev told his sons. That human life is a life meant for austerity. But what type of austerity? On the path of bhakti, we are very careful. Too less austerity makes the heart hard, because if one is too much inclined towards sense enjoyment, it hardens the heart. And too much austerity also hardens the heart. So austerity is needed, but just in the right quantity. Not too little, not too much. Just the right amount of austerities. And when one performs voluntary, accept such suffering, then it makes us strong on the path of spiritual progress. And Srila Prabhupada says, for the devotees, the main austerity is to get up early during the Brahma Muhurta hour, to get up, to take shower, to offer one's obeisances to the spiritual master, to the Lord, and then one should chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says, ideally, 16 rounds in a go in the morning. And such austerities will make one very, very strong in one's Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is glorifying Gandhari as an ideal woman, as mother, as wife, and ascetic. And Prabhupada says this is very rarely found, but we can find it in the Bhagavatam. So it's exactly upper state. I always like to finish on time and leave time for questions and comments. So I'll stop here and we shall take any questions, comments, reflections anyone has. Hare Krishna. Hey, everyone absorbed the verses and the purports. That's good. Okay. No one has any questions or comments or reflections. We can. Oh, Chitralekha Mataji. You unmute, Chitralekha Mataji. You need to unmute. Oh, should I see the chat? I don't know what you're trying to tell me. Okay. Oh, you cannot unmute. Okay. So you can type your message in the chat box or your question if you have one. Oh, unmute is blocked.
Yes, sorry, Prabhuji. I will unmute.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. The
I
message
just
came.
need a second to work it out. 1 second.
Okay, I think it's all right.
One second. Okay, now everyone should be able to unmute.
Okay, all right. So Chitralekha, you can go first.
Yeah, so I think it's posted actually. It's the same question about Guru and Bhagwan. You said both are equivalent almost. We should treat Guru as God.
Yeah, treat Guru as good as God, Prabhupada said, but not as God. Guru is not God. Guru will never be God. Guru is always servant of God. But because the Guru is a very confidential representative of God, Prabhupada used to give the example that if a member of the government comes to your town or to your home, we will give that minister the same respect as the head of the government because he's representing the government. So in the same way, the spiritual master is a very confidential servant of God. He's not Bhagavan. He's not Bhagavan. But he is to be worshipped as good as Bhagavan because he's representing Bhagavan, and he's a very confidential servant of Bhagavan, and he's doing the main work of Bhagavan. And Krishna is pleased. As we said earlier, our ultimate standard of morality is that which pleases Krishna. And Krishna is more pleased when his devotee, his confidential devotee, is worshipped and honored than he himself is honored. That's the principle that Srila Prabhupada taught us. Puja Mataji, you had a similar question, so hopefully that answer satisfies you.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I had the same question about the Guru and Krishna. So it's a little bit confusing that we cannot sit Guru on Krishna's place, but worshipping as like Krishna. I mean, then Guru's position is, as you explained, but still I'm not satisfied that how do we worship Guru?
We worship Guru as the servant of God. Prabhupada used to say, servant to Godhead, as the servant of God. But our worship of Guru should be as the same standard. We will not put Guru on the seat of Krishna because that is an offense. You know, it's a thin line. Spiritual life can be a razor's edge. The Mayavadis, they go the other way. They say the Guru is God. But we don't say that. We worship, we give the Guru all the respect, but we understand in our consciousness the Guru is not God. Krishna is God. But we understand from Krishna's own instructions. Krishna himself has told us that we should worship the Acharya as good as oneself. I'll see if I can share that verse on our chat. But Krishna himself says that we should worship the Acharya as good as himself. So we follow Krishna's instructions. As good as, but not equal to. Does that make sense, Pramataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jogesh Prabhat.
Salish Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
This was a wonderful class, very heavy session, so thank you for that. I have a slightly unrelated matter, if I may bring it up. Sorry for, I know we've got this new regime starting as of today, and I understand the reasoning for that we've got shortage of facilitators, so I fully understand. My only concern is that, of course, what momentum we picked up, we're going to lose all of a sudden because we're kind of going at half speed. So I have a suggestion, if I may, that if it's possible, we on the days that we have a facilitator, we don't recite, but we use that extra time, 20 minutes, to do an extra verse instead. And then over that sort of 4-day period, we should hopefully be able to cover the verses that we would have otherwise covered during the week. And for those that want to recite, what we could perhaps do is on the days that we don't have facilitators, perhaps Jyoti Mataji and Sriji Mataji very kindly do their service so beautifully. They can facilitate the recital only of the verses. Maybe the whole chapter can be done and people can split it into sessions, or 2 halves and half, so that those that want to continue reciting can still continue reciting on a every other day basis, but not on the days that we have facilitators. And maybe the bhajans can be moved to the Saturday that we don't have a facilitator as well. So that way we try and maximize the time that we have with facilitators to effectively continue the momentum, and over the week we don't lose that much coverage in terms of the verses, because we're still on schedule for about 35 years as things stand. So
okay, Prabhu, thank you for that suggestion. We will reflect on it and we will take it into consideration. Yeah, recitation is an important part of this program we're doing, so we'll have to consider that. We should still be ahead of what we were previously. Now we cover 3 or 4 verses, and one suggestion was made that if devotees read the purport, then what the facilitator would do would concentrate on specific aspects of the purport and where the purport is long, so we can always be doing a few verses. But thank you for that suggestion. I'll take it back to the management team and we'll see what they think about it.
my humble plea would be that we don't skip the purports. That is the most important part of reading the Bhagavatam, is Srila Prabhupada's input of how we should read and understand that. And if we skip that, then we are, I know what you're saying, that we should read, but you know what the reality is. Many people will be busy and they won't read, and therefore we'll have lost a very important, essential element of the teachings of the Bhagavatam by doing that, because many won't have read it. It's unfortunate human nature, and turn up at the session without having read it, and therefore will lose the essence going forward. So that's my humble plea, Prabhu. Sorry, always, Bhagavatam is very, very dear to me, and I want to make sure that I'm just trying to help that everyone gets the maximum out of these sections every evening. So please forgive me, everyone, if I'm putting my views too strongly forward. Apologies.
Yeah, we welcome all suggestions. And if anyone else has got suggestions, you can reach out to various facilitators who you feel most connected with, and we can discuss it among ourselves.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's a very good idea. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My humble obeisances unto you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for a wonderful session, as always, very insightful and very deep. My question is, Krishna wants every one of us to go back to him, but then again, Maya, tests us, and Maya makes it very difficult, because when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that many millions of souls they tried, and there is a sequence of verses where Krishna says many people tried, and it comes the very rare soul ultimately reaches me. So then it's like elimination kind of process of who goes back to Krishna. And also there is a saying like Krishna consciousness is simple, but it is not easy. So can you please throw some light on this? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I think we all know from personal experience, the process itself is simple, but it's not easy. A lot of things are relative. I mean, if you really think about it, the opportunities we are being given at the moment to advance and, as Srila Prabhupada says, in one lifetime go back to Godhead by following a very simple process. Ultimately, the mercy that is available to us is a far more powerful and greater force than the attractions of Maya. As long as we are, we are sincere, although the path may seem difficult, success is assured. That is the assurance and the guarantee given by Srila Prabhupada and our predecessor acharyas and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu itself. I was listening to one purport recently where Prabhupada was emphasizing the point that the reality and the truth is that Krishna is indeed more eager for us to come back to him than we may be even wanting to go back to him. Krishna definitely wants that. Relatively speaking, sometimes it may seem that Maya seems almost insurmountable. But, the power of Krishna and his pure devotees and the Guru and the Vaishnavas, they'll carry us. And we see it happening in our society, in our communities all the time. People from relatively simple backgrounds, sometimes that people that have come to Krishna consciousness late. There's only one thing in our spiritual life that we have to be extremely, extremely careful about. And if we can avoid this and we follow the simple process, success is practically assured. And that is offenses. The greatest thing that holds us back actually is offenses. And if we do sometimes find ourselves struggling on the path, it's mainly because of offenses that we've committed, either knowingly or unknowingly. Prabhupada has said it so many times. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said it. The acharyas have said it. If we simply stick to this relatively simple process, success is guaranteed. And as I've said previously, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, only 3 lives. One life as a Kanishta, one life as a Madhyam, and the third life as an Uttama. And relatively speaking, 3 lifetimes in the worst case scenario, if we don't commit offenses, is like a flash. So Srila Rupa Goswami says, patience, confidence, and hope. We should always have that, although sometimes it does seem difficult.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. That was very, very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada's quote on this is quite remarkable. You know it, I'm sure. He says, Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple and complicated for the complicated. And he actually says, just the one life. Give this one life, surrender just this one life, and I'll take you back to just to God. Just this one life.
Yes. Actually, Srila Prabhupada once said, he has the key to the back door to Goloka Vrindavan. You know, sometimes when someone has the key to the back door, you can sneak in. You sneak in and you go, and Prabhupada says, I have the key to the back door of Goloka Vrindavan.
Yeah, and hold his dhoti.
Yeah. So we got much going for us, a lot going for us. Never underestimate that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance, your participation, your nice questions, and your encouragement. All glories to your service, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Vaishnava Vrinda ki
जय
Prabhupada ki
जय।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you,
Thank
devotee.
you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for very nice class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hari
Thank you,
Bol.
Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.